Okay, we'll start the City of Selma City Council regular meeting. Uh, Roll call, please, Raina.
Councilmember Durst,
Here.
Councilmember Franda,
Here.
Councilmember Montego is absent. Mayor Pro Tem Robertson,
Here.
Mayor Alvarez.
Here. Okay. Uh, Next item. Any council has potential conflict may identify the item and excuse.
Location.
Oh, I forgot. I jumped the gun.
It's okay.
Uh, Sorry, Lewis.
I read from the top.
Vacation by Lewis. Quintana.
Thank you, Mayor. City Council, let's bow our heads.
Amen. Thanks, Pastor. Everybody, please rise, face the flag. Ready? Salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Got it. Thank you, Scott. Thank you very, Scott.
Thank you.
Before we move on, I'd like to take a brief moment of silence for the fallen firefighters that lost their lives in fighting the fire, and also another individual, our council person, Yvette Montiel cannot be here because her loss of one of the family members, her grandmother. So we'll take a moment of silence as well. Thank you. Okay, move on to the next item. Okay, potential conflict. Any council member has a potential conflict may identify the item and excuse himself in discussion and voting on the matter. None? Okay, we'll move on. Special presentation, there's none. Okay, oral communication. Okay, oral communication. This is a notice to the public. At this time, a member of the public can address the city council regarding any item over the jurisdiction of the council. No action will be discussed or taken on the agenda. The issue will be raised to referred to the city manager for review. A member of the public will have a limit of 3 minutes for remark. Anybody here wants to make a comment? Okay, we'll move on to the next item. Okay, next item is consent calendar. All items listed in the consent calendar category are routine. The complete consent calendar is exactly by one motion by roll call vote. All purpose of discussion any council may have any item removed from the consent calendar may be part of the regular agenda. The council may approve the rest of the remaining city consent calendar. A through P. Anybody?
I'd like to remove items L and O.
L and O. Okay.
And
Anybody else?
check register P.
Okay. Okay.
And then I would, unless anybody wants to take any other items off, I would make the motion to approve items 1A through K and items M through N.
Okay.
I would second that item.
Okay. Motion made. Roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Robertson,
Aye.
Councilmember Durst,
Aye.
Councilmember Franda,
Aye.
Mayor Alvarez.
Aye. Okay.
First one is page 31. It's this water bond. Just wondering, it looks like there's a lot of bipartisan support for this water bond, but I guess I'm a little gun shy because the SB 1 before the roads on the water, that got passed, and we thought we were going to get a dam out of it, Temperance Flats Dam. And it looks like we're going to get about 25% of the dam out of it. Are there any assurances here? Are there any references of how this water bond money will be used?
It does stipulate some of the funds and how to be utilized within the packet itself. It kind of chops it up a little bit as far as into different segments, into grants and things of that nature. Mr. day. Do you want to speak to it, sir?
What's your name, sir?
Yeah.
Is the mic on?
Neither one.
Hello? Okay. Thank you for allowing me to be here and represent. My name is Dominic Figueroa. I'm
So if I'm hearing you correctly, Dominic, none of this money could be used for the actual Temperance Flats Dam, but it could be used for canals, irrigation, getting water to for farmers, for farming, get the water from where it abundantly flows or comparatively abundantly flows to arid areas like our west side and our east side too during times of drought. It's big, it's huge. And Temperance Flats will be a storage area, above ground storage area for 3 times the size of Millerton, so it'll really help our area to have that storage.
Right, and we are working with, closely with community water centers, groups that are pushing, the Chicago Latino Coalition, which we're working towards, actually having a second meeting. We'll have individuals that represent, engineers are involved with it as well, but we're bringing this back together so that there is definitely representation for this type of canal. The numbers do show, as I have sheets, have any information from you, but this is the goal, and Robert, you have language in the bill that they will get this, so that in months to come, or there are changes in this bargain and this pop with bureaucracies, because I know Sacramento and San Francisco areas can really hold back when it comes to.
Thanks for staying up. Just two quick, one the CWCB, California Water Commission, be allocating the money? And two, what's the allocation timeline for this $8.8 billion?
This one will be really moved pretty quickly, especially with the Franklin crew. They will, once this goes through, they will be readily able to go through the grants and use this will go forward. When it comes, since we're not the water commission, it is the Department of Water Resources, the State Water Control Board are having it, our public conservancy groups are receiving these. Cal Fire is also receiving these so that there are push forward this because we're really needed. So these are fast movements where the groundworks will come into play, grassroots calling, getting individuals moving this forward as quickly as possible. And I say possible quickly because like I said, I've been witnessing the area here, how arid and how dry these areas are, how agriculture, how having individuals going representing and speaking and having these coalitions get pushed forward and have community agricultural go forward on this, especially when it comes to agriculture.
Thanks very much.
Definitely support. And we are getting receiving messages today from Congressman John Feinstein. Kamala Harris is moving forward, and so we are definitely getting.
Yeah, but from both sides. You have it from
We're
John
getting
Cox, the
all
Republican
exactly.
candidate for governor. So I like seeing
So
that.
we're really looking at this as there's nothing really on the table new. There's always these SBs, ADs, but this here is throughout the whole state of California.
All right, thanks very much. Appreciate the information.
Any other questions?
No. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, next item, Scott.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Thanks for the update.
With that, I make a motion to. Should I do the three as soon as I'm done, or should I just do one at a time? Okay, then I'll make a motion to accept item L.
I'll second it.
Okay, roll call, please.
Councilmember Jefferson.
Aye.
Councilmember Franco.
Aye.
Councilmember Durr.
Aye.
Mayor Avalos.
Aye.
Okay, letter O is page 55. This is a quick one. This is the tax rate for the general obligation bonds for the police station. Looks like the rate for 1819 is 1860. What was the rate for 1718?
Well, it's a tax rate percentage base. Last year it was actually 0.0216. For the upcoming fiscal year, the year we're currently in, it'll be 0.020, so it actually dropped.
So the bond rate is actually lower for the police station this year than it was last year, based on the assessable tax values of real property.
That's correct. So as the assessed values actually increase, the rate should fluctuate to offset the debt structure itself.
The rates themselves are gonna increase or decrease.
It has to be reanalyzed every single
To collect a
year.
certain amount that has to be
Correct.
collected in terms of interest.
Question then, as we have a continual, if we have a continual rise in assessed value in our community, then this tax rate will go the other way.
It'll drop to offset, correct.
if
So
it's
all
still
we're looking for is
25,000 that we have to pay, the city has to pay for the debt service, that percentage will be lower for each taxpayer in our city,
that's correct.
each property
So you
owner.
have a flat basis rate across the board, so everybody receives that rate and it's based off the assessed value.
It's actually gonna be flat because of the fact that his value has gone up to some extent.
The percentage
So
will
the
be,
percentage will be,
sounds good.
Okay.
that's not a bad deal.
That's good.
Can you say your motion just the difference of what's a little closer to them?
Sure. Sorry.
How's that?
There you go. I think it's a 30-second delay, but it needs to be just commented quickly.
Speak up.
Okay.
Are we on on camera? Everybody knows that we're on camera tonight?
Okay.
We're streaming for the first time?
Okay, everybody
Awesome.
smile.
All right, so with that, I make a motion to approve item
O.
O.
I'll second that.
Okay, roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Robertson.
Aye.
Councilmember Durr.
Aye.
Councilmember Franco.
Aye.
Mayor Avalos.
Aye.
Okay, and then the last one, P, check register, page 59, check number 71018, second from the top, and related to check number 71040, midway down the page. They're both for MDT. What is that, data transfer, or is that some sort of data term?
Uni is our tech service for PD. MDT is their mobile device that they use in their vehicle, so they can do research and pull data into the databases they need.
Okay.
The
is that something that gets changed every year, gets renewed every year, or they look at it as the technology changes, or?
We base it off of the county and their changes.
And then, halfway, 3/4 the way down, 7104, DSJ Architects, Time and Materials, new PD station agreement, Measure P? Is that how to measure P out of the appropriation? Sorry, 71054 for 44,605 for design. It says T&M, new PD station.
Appropriation, sorry, should have been labeled.
The appropriation, okay.
So I've not got it into Measure P funds.
Got it, okay. And then, the next page, page 60, check number 71113, Saving All Children Forensic Interview Annual Service, 1,000, what is that? If you don't have
I'll
it,
have to
just
look into
get-
that
just
one.
get back
I'm
to me.
sorry. I'll get
It's
back to
okay.
you on it.
71125, miscellaneous traffic and safety signs. These for new population or speed, or what do we?
These are standard traffic public works signs that we need to replenish our stop signs, things of that nature. We try and buy up a couple at the beginning of the year, so we use it throughout the fiscal year.
Thank you. Page 61, last one. Check number 71130, Townsend Public Affairs Consulting, 3,500. I'm not really questioning the 3,500. I'm just wondering, can we get a presentation from them? Can we get Townsend to come out, since I think the city approved to bring them on a quarter of a year ago, maybe 6 months now, and we haven't really had an update from them.
Yeah,
Since that
Townsend
time.
himself, I'll bring them in for a renewal
We
presentation
could have
so
a
that you can
roundtable
have
or
it.
a workshop or something.
Yeah, we discuss some of the things they worked on and kind of go from there.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Okay, with that, I'd make a motion to, yes.
There's a service contract with our community, sexual assault victims, child molestation, things like that. That's special education.
Okay. Good.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks,
I'll
Chief.
second
Well
the
spent.
motion.
Okay,
You need
A motion to approve item P.
all right, roll
I'll
call,
second.
please.
Mayor Pro Tem Robertson.
Aye.
Councilmember Franco.
Aye.
Councilmember Durr.
Aye.
Mayor Evelyn.
Aye. Okay. And move on to the next item. Okay. Okay, public hearing. Okay, consider a resolution confirming the reports of annual refusal collection charges of the added to the 2018-2008 Fresno County property tax roll. Isaac?
Thank you. What you're looking in front of you is for the refuge charges that goes to the tax roll annually so that we can collect the charges for waste management for their services throughout the year. Through your packet, you also see an addition to, so the rates will be increasing for the fiscal year of 1.5% for their services across the board. What you'll be seeing going to the tax roll for this fiscal is 5,063 parcels for 1.9 million. The remaining services, such as commercial and things of that nature, do not go to the tax roll. They actually are billed manually by Waste Management. Is there any questions?
What's the CPI based on?
Yeah, okay.
There's a set table rate that they use as part of the contract itself. They actually get that CPI gain over the year, take an average, and they only get like 75% of that CPI actually.
Is it is it the consumer price index that everyone pays, or is it just related to the?
It's related to
trash
their
industry?
field.
Waste management industry, okay.
Okay. Any more questions? Council, any more?
Mr. Mayor, if I just may make a brief comment. The Health and Safety Code requires a 2/3 vote on this item because it is placing something on the tax rolls. And given Councilmember Montijo's absence, we will need a unanimous vote on this item this evening if the council
Okay.
wishes to approve it.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, guys,
This is a public hearing item.
public hearing. Anybody in the public can come forward and address this issue on the particular item from the public? None? Okay, we refer it back to council. Council? Direction?
I make a motion to confirm the annual refuse
Okay.
collection charges.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a, roll call, please. Rena?
Mayor Pro Tem Robertson.
Aye.
Councilmember Durr.
Aye.
Councilmember Franco.
Aye.
Mayor Evelyn.
Aye. So be it, passes.
There you go.
Move on. Okay. rescinding resolution number 2018-57R, approving a request from BuzzFeed for the fee waiver of the Selma flea market, farmers market. I'm sorry. Sorry.
Thank you, Mayor.
Forgive me, man.
Just kind of an update on what's kind of transpired for this resolution. As you're well aware, they came to council prior meeting, and they were approved for a fee waiver. There was a typo within the resolution itself as far as the dollar amounts. The appropriate dollar amount should have been 313 for the first permit, and the actual increase for the next permit till 315 for a total waiver fee of 943. So this is really just bringing it back so that we have the appropriate amounts that are being waived. Any questions?
Okay. All right. We'll refer it back to public. Any public comments on this? Yeah. State your name and. And your address where you live too as well.
My name is Jesse Crouch, 2172 East Front Street.
I am George Cruz, 1443 Cooper Street.
And so it went very well. We had a good turnout as far as the community. It was very, online it was one level, and sometimes when it comes to the actual real event, it sometimes lacks, and there's hang-ups and whatever. But this event was really good. We've got nothing but positive feedback, and your votes really helped a lot of people that day. In just 3 different booths, they each raised about $500, you know, each one. And that was 3 out of 14. And so even the informational booths, they were seeing like about 75 people and had different things to say. My little one would like to share her experience with the event. Say your name.
My name is Mackenzie Crouch.
How was your experience at the farmers market?
I just wanted to say thank you, City Council, for supporting farmers market.
What did you learn about farmers market? What did you learn? One thing. Well, one of the things she shared was that she liked the ability to see all her friends and different things in a positive something different. You know, it wasn't a sporting event, it was like more communal, and so she was happy with that. And the little ones would like to share something too, but it's okay.
I just wanted to say firsthand, actually getting a chance to be in charge of running the farmers market and speaking to the vendors, but not just the vendors, but the community as a whole, like talking to different families, fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters, like everybody. They were just so happy to have a farmers market. They didn't care whether or not it was huge. Everyone was telling me that they were just so happy to actually be able to come downtown and actually see that Selma finally has a farmers market. Because one thing we noted during the last council meeting, as that was confirmed at the farmers market, was why does everyone but us have one? Now we can say we finally have one. So thank you, members of the council. The town is really, really happy about this.
Is there any questions?
When's the next one?
Yeah.
August 21st.
And what time does it start?
We're pushing it back to 6:30.
Yeah, it's gonna be 6:30. Vendors will be setting up at 5:30.
Same vendors or different ones this time?
We're adding to it. We haven't lost any. We're adding. Apologize. We had a few people back out the last minute. Kind of like they were like on what would you say, broken like ice. They didn't know whether to come. It was kind of hot that day. Is it worth my time? And this was like the food vendors. So we had lack in food showing up. Next time we won't have a lack in food. It's a learning experience. But when I reference T-ball, there's a lot of learning to be done, you know. And so we're taking other models, growing from it, and implementing them. So we adapted quite well the other day, you know, and for your all support and the other ones from Shane's support, you know, when getting those barricades out there, you know, we appreciate everybody's support. And like I said, it's not if something's gonna happen, it's when it does. You know, you were out there too. Everybody was out there, and I really appreciate it. So we adapted quite well. That was the one big learning experience I had.
I just wanted to say one thing that we listened to everyone on social media, everyone that approaches in person. We got a taco truck.
Yeah.
So, good job.
That was the number one request.
Yeah.
I like.
So.
We go.
Oh, okay. Austin. Okay. All right.
It's okay.
Well,
You say your name.
my name is Austin Coach.
How was your experience at Farmers Market?
It was fun.
What did you learn? What was the best thing you learned? What was the best thing there? What was the one thing that pops out of your head?
Tomatoes.
Whose birthday was it?
I don't know.
Roses. Roses. Little hint. Roses.
It was a special day, right? Alright. Do I say anything, Sam? Alright. They're pretty shy. Like me.
That takes a lot of guts just
No.
to get
Yeah,
up there.
it takes a lot of
Much less when
courage,
you're
you know, and
horrified.
just as it was for them to come up and other things, it is very difficult to stand here on this side of the podium and to bring ideas to the city council. But it took our courage to do it. Anybody can do this. You know, it's just that initial thought to bring it to life, to share with you guys the opportunity, this farmers market. It was a great opportunity. Thank you.
That's
Thank
true.
you. Thank you. Okay, anybody else? Oh, go ahead.
I
State
just
your
wanted
name
to
and
I just
who
wanted
you
to
are.
comment. My name's Dominic. I'm put in the hat of a California citizen and resident. I moved from Southern California. Had no idea that much about farmers market. Now that I moved to Fresno and I'm always in Clovis. Clovis has a really nice farmers market, and I buy things there all the time. And then the River Park in Fresno, I went there and I bought more stuff. And you know, so I would recommend, and I would say it's nice. I love the farmers market.
So
I
we'll
just-
see you on the 21st then.
I will be here. I now when if you're telling that, I would be here. I enjoy farmers
We'll
market.
see you at
so
6:30 then.
I just wanted to throw it out there. So I love brings good business too. I always am buying things. If I see something nice and it's good, especially tomatoes, I'll buy it. 'Cause they're good for you. So anyhow, thank you. I just wanted to throw it out there.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Oh,
1057 Mill Street, Rose Robertson. I just want to say on KC24 News, they had just a couple days ago an analysis out of San Francisco stating in the whole San Joaquin Valley that right now farmers markets are really doing extremely well. And the reason is when you got families and anybody wanting to eat healthy or trying to go down that route, people are coming with $10 and buying fruits and vegetables and going home with $20 value. So it's really good for families right now.
Great, thank you.
thank you. Anybody else?
Do we have a motion on this item?
We'll put it back to council.
So I would just say I was there and it was a great experience, and I'll be back at the second one and be buying things, and it's a great value. It's great for the family. It's a great family event, showcases our city. Love seeing Austin and the kids at that last event. They did a great job being the young ambassadors, and they're great ambassadors to our city. And who was it? One of the inventors said execution, or an idea without execution, is a hallucination. You guys had an idea and you executed it, and you're bringing it to reality, and that's really what we need in this city. So thank you for that.
And I can't say anymore. I was there too. It was a hot day, but you know what? It turned out nice. The people that showed up, it was a good event. First time, you know, it's a trial and error, but you know what? It was successful, and I admire that, you know. And I know the next one's going to be a lot better. I can tell, you know. But anybody else would make a
Yeah,
comment?
I actually went, and it was a great turnout. I went a little later in the evening when it was a little bit cooler, but for all you
Good
people,
man.
kudos for all you who went early. But, you know, I voted no last time, and not that I'm against the idea or the event, or I'm not going to support the event. It's just I still have questions on the nonprofit and if it's actually totally a nonprofit at this time. But
it was a great event, Jesse, and I plan to be at the next one.
Okay, thanks, Franco. Any more questions for council? We've heard back to council, okay. All right, what you guys take on it?
Sure, I can make a motion to, item number 3, consideration and resolution rescinding the resolution and approving the request from Misfit for a fee waiver for the farmers market.
I'll second that.
Okay, roll call, Rena, please.
Councilmember Dirk.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Robertson.
Aye.
Councilmember Franco.
No.
Mayor Avalos.
Aye. Okay, move on to the next item. Okay. All right, next item. Okay, consider ordinance amending section 1-51, meeting for the chapter 5 council, the title 1 administrative city municipal code, changing the method of establishing the date and time of regular city council meetings, and the resolution to establish and the dates and time of regular city council meetings. Okay, Attorney Spark?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, the purpose of this ordinance is twofold. One is that under the government code, the city is permitted to set its meeting time and date by resolution rather than ordinance. Establishing a meeting date by resolution is just a little bit better because it gives you more flexibility. You won't have to wait the 30 days plus the time to introduce the ordinance for a meeting time or date to change. The other issue here is that we didn't have anything that established closed session at 5 p.m. and I know sometimes the council likes to get the closed session out of the way a little bit earlier, so this resolution also accounts for that. My only question to the council is whether or not you wanted to mandate that the closed sessions always begin at 5 p.m. or if you want to have some flexibility to have them either at 5 p.m. or at some point in time during the regular meeting.
What if we would meet like 4? We've met at 4 o'clock when there's been a lot on the executive session agenda. Could we do that with the way it's worded right now?
Whatever the wishes of the council are, I can change the resolution right now from the dais. That's fine if the wishes are to have the flexibility to meet earlier. I just don't know with work schedules if time permits the council to meet at 4. I know we originally had said 5, but it's whatever the will of the council is.
Rare. I mean, maybe once a year or something, twice a year.
What we could do if it is just on a rare occasion, we would just call a special meeting at 4. Would you like though to have the flexibility to meet at either 5 o'clock or during the regular meeting? Or do you want to always have it at 5 o'clock?
I think the flexibility is always a good.
Well,
I would suggest the flexibility to use some of the topics of me going to closed session may take a little bit longer, so that the flexibility will allow you to do those things.
Okay. So we can meet at 5 and then we can meet again after the meeting?
Yes, so if I could just have your indulgence for a moment, I would amend the last sentence of the resolution to read as follows. Notwithstanding the foregoing, when held, closed session may commence at 5 p.m. or during the regularly scheduled meeting.
you know,
The other part to this is that we'll need 2 motions. One to waive the reading and then a second to introduce the ordinance.
I'll make a motion to waive the reading, first reading.
I'll second that.
City Clerk, we need a roll
so
call vote?
Okay,
Okay.
let me run. Hang on, guys. Let's get this back up a little bit. Okay, what we're asking is to change the time of the meetings on the closed session, or is it, or any kind of issue that comes up.
So the ordinance is 2 parts. It changes the ordinance to allow you first to set the meetings by resolution. The second part of this is to adopt a resolution that would go into effect on the effective date of the ordinance. And under that resolution, you're setting your closed session at 5 p.m. or at any time during the regularly scheduled meeting. Because currently we don't have the 5 o'clock time period for closed session.
And Mayor, so you understand more clearly, basically what we're doing is
Yeah.
changing the ordinance to offset what our current practices are.
Yeah, I just want to make sure, I'm trying to question why we're making this change, it hasn't, wanna streamline the operation. That's what I'm getting at.
We're just codifying. You already meet at 5 p.m. for closed session, but the council had never adopted that as your meeting time. And under the government code, you were supposed to have adopted that as your meeting time, and that never occurred. So what we're trying to do now is just some cleanup, and so that we're consistent with the government code and you have an actual official meeting time.
Okay. Alright.
This is just to clean up.
Just to clean
Correct.
up, okay. Just
keep it
more,
right.
yeah, just more,
Correct.
okay, more on paper, okay.
In page 77, you just changed that one from shall to
Shall,
may in the
yeah.
middle.
Yes, and then I added the or during the regularly scheduled
That will
meeting.
allow us to meet at 5 or after the meeting, or
Correct,
both.
or at any time during the
Okay.
meeting.
All right.
Alright then, alright.
So just to clarify, there's a motion on the floor to waive the reading and introduce by title only,
By
and there's a
title.
second.
Okay, well, it's okay to, by title, but, yeah. I like-
Otherwise, Mayor, we would have to read the full ordinance.
Yeah, I like to read the,
All, the whole
like
page?
well, no, that's fine. That's
Right.
fine.
Generally practice, you just read the
Yeah.
title of the
Title,
ordinance.
just
Mhm.
title. Okay, alright. I understand, okay?
You're good to go. Call for roll call.
Alright, how about, to the public? Anybody in the public can wish to make a public comment on this issue, can come forward? Okay, referred back to council.
You have a motion and a second on the
Second,
floor.
yeah. Okay, we have motion and second, okay, roll call.
Councilmember Franco.
Aye.
Councilmember Durr.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Robertson.
Aye.
Mayor Evelyn.
Aye, it passes, okay.
Now, don't turn your
City
page
clerk,
yet.
Oh, no,
now
no.
the city clerk will read the ordinance by title only, unless you'd like me to do that. Okay. The title of the ordinance, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Selma, California, amending section 1-5-1 meetings of Chapter 5 Council of Title I Administrative of the Selma Municipal Code, changing the method for establishing the date and time of regular city council meetings.
Okay.
And now, Mayor, it would be appropriate to ask for a motion to introduce the ordinance.
Okay, we need a motion to introduce this.
So
item.
moved.
Okay,
I'll second it.
all right. Roll call.
Mayor Pro Tem Robertson.
Aye.
Councilmember Franco.
Aye.
Councilmember Durr.
Aye.
Mayor Evelyn.
Aye. Okay, it passes.
And now the second, or the third part of this,
Third part.
Mr. Mayor, would be to consider a motion to adopt the resolution, which would take effect upon the effective date of the ordinance.
Okay, we need another motion on this particular item, back to council.
And that's with the amendment that I read
Amendment
into
with
the record.
With that little word changed.
Correct.
Changed. Okay,
So moved.
Second.
okay, roll call.
Before we do that, this does not hinder our ability to call special meetings at
Not
any
at all.
time of the day or night.
Not at all.
Okay.
No.
It's just if we needed 4
Yeah.
or 3 or 11.
Correct.
Anytime outside the scope of 5
Then it's a
until the
special
end
Right.
of the meeting. It's a
We
special
just need a baseline time to work with to comply with the government code.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay, roll call.
Councilmember Durr.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Robertson.
Aye.
Councilmember Franco.
Aye.
Mayor Evelyn.
Aye, okay. And that should take care of that item. Okay. Next item, department reports. Mr. City Manager, interim right there. Isaac, you're on.
Thank you, Mayor. Some of the topics that I'd like to discuss today, you've got an email from me regarding the Fresno County Rural Transit Authority. They have accepted our bid, so we will go enter into negotiations as far as the contract. So you'll be seeing that contract come back to council once it's approved. As you're aware, that will bring in an additional revenue stream, unrestricted, into our funds. In addition, currently our code enforcement officer, Javier, as you're all aware, is currently out. Having that, we brought in a temporary full-time position to offset the current officer while he's out, so that we do not skip a beat. So if you have any questions, that gentleman's name is Juan Mendez. You can direct it directly to him. He is sitting on Javier's desk. So his extension is still the same.
Okay.
You can forward your questions to me though, and I can turn around and give it to the code enforcement officer.
All right.
During the prior meeting, you've addressed me or asked me to look into sister cities. I just want to give an update of where we're at with that. I did meet with Mr. Nagra, and he's given me some information as far as other cities that are currently doing it, some of their practices and things of that nature. He also gave me some information for the individual I could reach out to that is at the city that we're currently proposing, and also directed me to Bakersfield to see how they're handling that situation. I did reach out to Bakersfield as far as an email and not got a reply back yet, so we're still researching, and I'll bring that back to you when I have further information. I did want to also mention that Measure P and Measure S, the committee meetings, are both currently scheduled. Measure P is scheduled for August 15th, and Measure S is scheduled for August 21st.
Where are they? Where are they located?
They will be across the street at the fire station.
At
Our
5 o'clock?
fire admin.
5 p.m.?
I will have to look into the time.
Okay.
It's either 5 or 6, but I can confirm that for you.
It looked like Measure P was 5. I didn't see what Measure S was.
Okay. I can look into both and get it back to you. Last item that I have as a topic, we have discussed, as you see from the BizFit, fee waivers in that structure, in that format that we can all discuss and kind of codify what our parameters would be around that. Given that past practice was always just basically to say no due to the recession, and waiving fees was kind of backtrailing what we were doing as far as trying to raise revenue and stabilize the city. Now that we've stabilized a little bit, we can now look at how this structure will work. So I have started looking to some of the parameters in which we'll do this item. This will come back to you. This is more of informational for some of the items in which how we're structured. So given this feedback that I'm giving to you now, you can give me further feedback and comments on how you'd like that structure, so we actually can have an agendized item and take some action on this. So this is basically a prelim to get you some information. The one thing I will state is some of these have some pros and cons to them, so that's really why we need to have a further discussion on what these items will look like.
Is this going to be an upcoming agenda item?
Correct.
Okay. We can email you if we have anything.
Correct.
planned
Email
after
any
this.
updates that you'd like, or opinions or conversations, and we could add, but at the meeting itself, we'll start pulling it apart a little bit further and maybe remove, maybe reduce some of the amounts, talk about soft costs, hard costs, what those mean to the city, and have a further detailed conversation.
Yeah, we need to decide what those costs are, definitely.
Yeah.
Correct.
They can waive them as we can.
Okay, and,
That's all for me. Thank you.
okay.
Do you have any?
Well, that's okay. I'm gonna call you again. I think community development.
Community development. Sure, at community development, we're stabilizing and growing. As you can see, the hospital is almost built, and they should be having groundbreaking coming up soon, or open house, I should say, coming up soon. Roscoe Dogs, what everybody has been waiting for, is finally opened. So we're looking to see that. Hopefully we'll have an open for that soon, as far as the ribbon cutting. And as far as the economy as a whole, we've continued to grow. We continue to have new businesses and entities coming in on a weekly basis, looking at different properties and things of that nature. So we're continuing to grow and stabilizing our current general fund and growth for the city itself.
All right. Thank you, Isaac.
You're welcome.
We're developing business friendly in our city. Thank you.
Yes, we are.
As a group.
What's coming in behind the Habit? Is there another occupancy?
At a car wash, isn't it?
Car wash. There is. There is going to be a car wash in the final pad next to the Starbucks and things of that nature. So it looks like, from what I've seen, that the Habit is pretty close. I think they said October, September. It should be close to opening, and then they're starting to work on after that the Surf and Drive. I can't remember the full name of it, but it is a car wash, a very popular car wash. You see them throughout Fresno and larger cities. And I think it's a good item and fit for our city. It's something we don't really have.
And then in terms of the code enforcement, I know driving around, I saw someone who's been doing car washes. Don't know if it's professional or just donating them, but it just made me think of how it might be good to have one Saturday a month or every 2 months schedule for the new code enforcement officer who's filling in for Javier, because Saturdays is when a lot of action in Selma, we could have a code enforcement officer drive around one of those days.
Sure. Mr. Mendez is flexible with his hours currently.
Oh, great.
So we'll see what we can work into that process. And so you're aware, we'll try and come back and see what this structure will look like. He can assist in different points. Even when Javier is coming back, maybe he can assist in some different formats and structures. So we'll look into the future and what this item will
So
look like.
you're saying even when Javier comes back, Mr. Mendez may still have a job?
It's
maybe
something I'll be
part-time?
looking at, correct.
Okay.
Okay,
There's always
good.
plenty to do.
Correct.
Always graffiti around.
Okay. I am gonna come back here on a finance here, not yet. I am gonna come back on you. Okay. Attorney, do you have any questions?
I have nothing to report, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Public Works, Shane?
Public Works, Thompson project is complete, all street crossings, handicap turns, street paint's done, coming off very smooth. Floral project is about 95% complete, then we'll pick up at, Woodson and Floral, singles. That goes out there today, that should be out there tomorrow, rest of the week, solve that problem. Graffiti, never ending battle.
Never ending.
We're trying our best to stay on top of it, we really are, it's a daily deal. So, I know you guys see it, if you do report it, take care of it.
I didn't look, but that rose and orange, those letters on that private property, did you send a letter to that property owner? Did you see that? It's right there, rose and orange,
Oh, that apartment.
west of the canal.
Yeah.
It's like a duplex. You could take a look at that. Yeah, it's those.
Pump house on Pine Street also.
Oh, did they?
Took care of the pump house, but I will look into it.
All right, thanks, Shane.
No problem.
All right.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Shane. All right. Fire, you're next.
We, have an agent from California. Sounds like it'll be up there for
Uh,
State of Future, sending a crew of four, wind agents for lead. It's been there for 2 weeks, they resubmitted, the entire strike team's doing that. So none of the agents have to come back, they can just stay up there and, work. So, sounds like
Oh,
we also started a new firefighter this morning, Jessica Gomez. For from Cal Fire, qualified. I'm sure he has
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Anything else? Nothing else? Chief Gardner?
Mayor, members of council, thank you. I was asked by former, I don't know how to, his title, former interim acting city manager Henry Perea to put together a presentation before he left on the department's operational priorities for this budget year. He actually asked me to wait till he got back, but I don't think that's coming anytime soon, so we're gonna give it to you tonight. Anyway, you'll see up on the screen our operational priorities for this year, and there are 5 distinct areas we're going to be focusing on over the next 12 months. Street level narcotics activity, juvenile related crime, domestic violence, traffic related issues, and the concern of homelessness in the city. As you can see, looking at these areas of focus, they're as much related to quality of life as they are to the crime rate. So I'm going to go through just some quick strategies that we're going to employ on each of these particular areas. These strategies are not all inclusive, or we're going to do a number of other things. These are just some that you're going to see and be able to notice. Once we're fully staffed, we're going to be assigning a problem-oriented police officer to investigate reports of street-level narcotics. We haven't had the ability to do that in some time. We're going to continue our multi-agency probation impact operations you've seen every 90 days here in the city. We're going to be partnering with Selma Unified to provide controlled substance abuse education. I met with Guillermo Lopez, the new Selma High School principal, last week to talk about how we're going to be able to partner together. We're going to be bringing back a reality tour. Some of you may recall in 2015 we did an event at the junior high with 200 parents and their kids that talked about the hazards of drug use. We're going to be bringing that back in either November or December of this year. And we're going to spend some time tracking our known narcotic offenders that are on probation and parole in our city as well. working with allied agencies to impact drug sales in a broader area. We've already, I think you know, we've already started multi-agency operations. One is taking place this week in Reedley, I believe it is. We're going to be doing those multi-city operations on an ongoing basis to try to impact not just our city, but the cities that are directly around us. Many of the offenders that operate in Selma also operate in Kingsburg and Fowler and Reedley and other areas. So we're going to be continuing those multi-jurisdictional operations. Juvenile-related crime, we're going to be conducting periodic and unannounced curfew and truancy operations. The curfew and truancy operations are going to commence this month. Again, we've been working with the school district to put those together. We're going to be working with youth service providers such as Parks and Recs and Boys and Girls Club to involve youth in more positive activities. Partnering with the school district and the Health Collaborative, present a reality tour. I mentioned that earlier with the high school and junior high students. And we're going to be expanding the Police Explorer program to encourage youth to be involved in more law enforcement related activities. So. Domestic violence. Domestic violence is one of the engines that drives our crime rate. Absent domestic violence, we would just literally have almost a non-existent violent crime rate, but it's been spiking, and it usually does, not just in our jurisdiction, but in many jurisdictions during the summer. But it is something we're going to focus on specifically this year. We're going to be partnering with Community Assistance Programs, Neighborhood Resource Center, and Marjorie Mason and Fresno County Department of Social Services to conduct public forums to address the cycle of violence. One of the things that we fear, is certainly what I fear the most in our city, is an underreporting of domestic violence. We want to make sure that's not occurring. We're going to prioritize investigations and arrest offenders. Domestic violence is going to be a priority for us, and work with Fresno County Family Services to reduce re-victimization. Re-victimization is basically, it stems from where victims see no way out of their current situation and they allow themselves to be re-victimized. We're going to try to partner with some of these community-based organizations to try to change that and get people out of those violent environments. Traffic-related issues. Traffic is a concern in every city, not just Selma. We're going to be increasing our traffic enforcement unit. You're going to see more officers on motorcycles once they're trained and get up to speed, if you'll pardon the pun. We'll conduct speed enforcement radar operations with those individuals. We'll conduct periodic bicycle enforcement operations. One of the biggest concerns we have, we're actually encouraging people to ride bicycles, do more physical activity, but with that comes danger. So we're going to be making sure that our bicycle users in the city are doing it properly. We're going to conduct periodic pedestrian enforcement operations. One of the leading areas of people injured in traffic collisions are pedestrians. So we want to make sure that we're dealing with that, making sure people are following the rules, making sure drivers are aware that there are pedestrians in the roadway. So, and obviously we're going to be continuing the multi-city DUI checkpoint saturations we've been doing for a number of years with grant funds. This year we didn't get grant funds, but we're going to be doing it out of our own budget to make sure those operations continue. And lastly, homelessness. One of the things we're going to be focusing on this year is trying to really get a good target, a good actual number of the folks that are in need of assistance in Selma. As you know, there's a great disparity between people that are homeless and folks that we refer to as street people, people that have a place to stay, but because of lifestyle choices have preferred to live on the street. One of the things we're going to do is identify those individuals that have locations that they can stay and try to encourage them into staying in those locations rather than living on the street, and work with the Behavioral Health Department to expand the field clinician program. The county has received grant funds, and we're going to try to increase the number of field clinicians that we have that work with our homeless, and work with other local organizations, Selma Cares, Selma Community Outreach, to identify emergency housing options. One of the biggest problems that Fresno County as a whole faces is there simply is not enough emergency housing for homeless. And I'm talking about folks that are actually genuinely homeless, that don't have a place to stay, as opposed to somebody who's making a determination that they'd rather live in that situation because of lifestyle choices. So that was kind of a quick overview. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to ask. There's another couple items I want to talk to you about that aren't on the council report unless you have any questions about this presentation first.
Can we get that on our email tomorrow?
This one?
That report? Can you email that report to us?
Yeah, you bet.
Thank you.
Two things. What was on your council report was our status update. Since I did that, there's been a couple of changes. I'll be interviewing a police officer candidate. Tomorrow we'll be doing 3 more within the week. If those interviews go successfully, we'll be issuing 4 conditional offers of employment to 4 more police officers. That'll bring our vacancy rate down to 1. Hopefully we'll be able to fill that shortly. Today we extended a conditional offer employment to a dispatch candidate. That gives us 7, which makes us full at the dispatch. So when this round of hiring is done, we should be at 1 vacancy throughout the department, and hopefully we'll be able to fill that. We currently have a police cadet in the police academy that's scheduled to graduate later the first part of next year. She's doing well, and if we haven't filled that position by then, she's the next candidate up. If that position is filled by then, we'll be offering her a reserve officer position. We're going to continue to recruit once we're full beyond that, so we can develop a reserve officer, a group of reserve officers. So if we do lose people in the future, we'll have an instant method of filling that vacancy without having to do future recruitment. So the other thing I wanted to talk to you about, you should have received an email from me late this afternoon that lists the locations of tomorrow night's National Night Out events. National Night Out, as you're aware, is a national program that encourages the formation of neighborhood watch programs throughout the country. There are 5 locations here in Selma. There may be more that stem from this. I know that there are multiple addresses that I sent you today, and I'll be visiting all those locations, as will our officers, and that information is presented to all of you in case you'd like to visit as well. So, questions at all?
Is there a time?
Most of them are scheduled to start at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
There's one at the Smart Center. I think it's starting a little bit earlier in conjunction with the activities of the Boys and Girls Club, but I think most of them else will be starting at 6.
Chief Gardner, back up a little bit on those officers that we're going to try to recruit in our community, those vacancies. How soon can we're looking at? What time frame we're looking at?
Well, we hired an officer last Monday. He started last week. I'm going to be interviewing a candidate tomorrow, and if that's successful, we'll be giving him a conditional officer of employment. We have 3 more that are due within this week. I'll be interviewing them the first part of next week. If they all are successful, then I'll be issuing 3 more conditional officers of employment. So we should have 4 more officers on. We have currently 5 vacancies, but we should have 4 more officers on within 2 weeks. So.
Okay.
And then how long does it take once you do that conditional offer? Do they still have to pass some tests, or are they ready to start the next day?
They have to take a medical exam and a psychological exam. And if they're successful, those are usually scheduled within a week or 2 of receiving their conditional offer of employment. They have to pass the psychological before they get the medical, and once that's done, they start. So.
And that's a matter of months before they start?
No, a matter of weeks. Once the psychological and medical are scheduled within 2 weeks of them getting the offer of employment, and once we receive those results, which takes just a few days, then they can be brought on at the next pay period.
Basically, within 3 weeks, you're ready to go.
Yeah, we should have.
If it works out right.
We should be down to 1 vacancy within a month at the most.
And these are folks who've had lots of training in the past. They've worked with other agencies, or are these folks out of the academy?
These are folks that are academy graduates.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And then they undergo a probationary period of a certain amount of time. Is that right?
They're in a field training program for 3 to 4 months, and then they're on probation for a year.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else, Chief?
Nope, that's it. Unless you have any questions.
Any questions from the Chief, guys?
No, Mom.
Thank you.
Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for the update, Chief. Thank you. Okay. Next person. Okay, is Mike? You're up, man. Good, good.
This year was, since we last noticed that they were already doing work. There is no new agreement we have to do, we already have a agreement for
Oh, okay, there's no, they're
Do you have
going
a
to,
key for that? You can just open it up, or?
Typically, they change this often, that they just give me a key card.
Say change keys.
Much like a gym key,
Yeah.
they make gym keys all the time.
Things happen.
Studies before you know it, the public doesn't find out about it.
well, that's good. That's good to hear. I mean, that's very good.
Thanks for following up on that.
Thank.
And then both Schaefer and South Florida are striped, and now we're getting the poles and the lights up at Schaefer. And we're gonna do a dual, we're gonna do the same day for both. Needed one part, but
Okay. Yeah, I'm still working on Michael Jordan coming.
let me know when you get in.
But no, that's good. That's good to hear, Mike.
And you might hear some feedback from the Salvador, we did put a gate up, so now we're keeping the Smart Center and the Boys Club from having just, anybody can just drive in the park and pass it. The basketball courts are people get parked at, so, I have talked to Mark for events, that we will allow them to use the grass area for events for cars. We'll fence off the basketball court, you can just drive on the blacktop.
Yeah.
We've already seen some cars on camera, the Newport's cars that gate just went to the parking lot.
No, that's good. That's good to hear. That.
That far of a walk really, but
No.
So go around the corner, share it in there.
it's just, there's a curb right there, park there, it's just, people want to be closer.
They just have to walk around to get in the park from there.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gate right there too, so.
Yeah. So they can
Good.
get through there as well.
There's 3 gates in the park, so.
Okay.
Good. Good.
Just get parked there.
That's good. I like. That's good, Mike. Very good.
Safer for the kids too, playing ball.
Yeah, totally safe.
Cars don't
Yeah.
go on the court while they're trying to play.
And it looks nice when you have the basketball courts, looking good and striped, and the kids love it right now. I'm getting a good feedback from the kids. I took a group picture the other day with the kids, and they loved it.
Yeah, but right now you can kind of both, one of the crew has the brand new Nancy Bottoms, so you can get one. So right now you can kind of both cards, it's just Schaefer and tail lights on, just.
Yeah, they asked me, Mayor Avalos, can you tell the group when we get the lights up? Yeah,
I put signs up too
I know, but
on Facebook,
It's coming.
yeah,
they know it's coming.
they're excited. It's
Right
coming.
now it gets dark pretty late anyway, so this is a good time of year to have that happen.
Good, good. And okay, we'll refer it back to council reports.
I have nothing to report at this time, but I do have, just for clarification, the first meeting in September, is that being moved or postponed? Moved? Okay.
So it is
Labor
fourth.
Day.
Okay. All right, next person, Mike?
I made a matinee of the School of Rock at the Arts Center. It's a program done by our high school and older kids. Did a good job of that. And I was at the farmer's market and concert in the park on Friday, for Saturday. That's it.
Mentioned the farmer's market, attending that. That was a great event. We used to get spreadsheets, Shane, on the Public Works Department a while back. I know you're starting out there, so it doesn't have to be anytime soon, but if we could get that eventually, just showing the allocation of the time that you folks spend at the different parks, the different areas. It's always good to see. I get some inquiries sometimes from folks wanting to know what's going on there. Thank you for that. Yeah, the Fresno County Rural Transit Authority, had the privilege of voting on that, voting to approve that, and that was awesome. That's $2.8 million in extra revenue for the city for the next 3 years with the 4-year option to extend. It's really gonna make South County the capital and a real transportation hub. I think it's a real win for everyone here. Plus they're already looking in our city, looking for places to rent, things to do, places to eat, hotels. This is definitely a benefit. You'll notice the faces will change September. There's MV Transportation was awarded the contract for the transportation service here, so the drivers will reapply, but it will be a reapplication process, and there may be some new drivers. So their EOC is no longer has that contract, so it's going to be MV Transportation now. So they're going to be taking over that service effective September 1.
September 1.
There's a pilot program called Go-Go Grandparent, where it's used with Measure C. It's a Measure C program. Seniors can actually call this this service, this number, and the service will, their software, and they'll go through Uber and Lyft. So it's kind of, you know, it's helping seniors who may not be all that tech savvy or want to get into that, help them to get a better deal with Uber and Lyft. And that's being piloted for 80 seniors, and that's going to be, the pilot program is going to last from September 1st to March 1st. And the Golden State Corridor project, it's still moving on. It's a $46 million project. It's going to put a bike path from Fowler to Selma, and then make improvements along Golden State.
Will that connect to the Kingsburg?
It will. It will connect. And so Fowler, the Fowler issue was that the street had to move. Golden State had to actually move like 8 feet over in a different direction. There was a meeting, a city council meeting, and a couple of the businesses on that street that would have been affected came out and actually prevailed on the council to stop that. So they voted that down. They're not going to shift the particular part of Golden State's going to stay where it is. But as a result, there's $4 million extra in that contract. And so I know someone at COG asked, well, can that go back to Council of Governments? Can it go back to the other cities? And the answer was, from the Fowler mayor, no way. Fowler's going to keep that, as you would expect, right? You know, because it's $4 billion. And they said, well, already, you know, the railroad's telling us we need to do a report because it's getting close to the project now, and now the railroad's paying attention too. And the report's $650,000 to do a report. So I'm sure we'll have our piece, and Kingsburg will have its, but it's Measure C funded. So that's that was a major change.
Going back to that Golden State project, did they mention the timeline on when they're going to fix our portion of Golden State? You know, our little bumpy section there.
It's all dependent on when the Huron job, the Huron Bridge, is completed, and that should be done by, I don't know. They're supposed to have like a groundbreaking, I think, on that this fall. So it could be like a year on that. So we could be looking at 2019 when it starts.
Well,
and how long it takes them to get to Selma, I don't know.
Well, the last time
They are projecting to start in 19. They haven't identified where they're starting or if they're going to use multiple phases and start in all three. They haven't really codified that portion of it yet, but it is projected to start in 19.
And 19. And the good thing about it, Scott, is it's going to look good for all the communities.
It's going to look really good, and it's
spruced up.
happening. It's going to happen. The money's there. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah.
So the money's programmed, and you could tell it's going to happen because now the businesses in Fowler are paying attention, and they came out and saw, and they didn't want to shift that road. So things are actually happening. The railroad's paying attention. They're getting reports done. So this is live. This is going to happen. Congratulations to Bob Allen. I don't think he's here tonight, but he was elected to another 4-year term on the Measure C Citizens Oversight Committee. So you could let him know. It's much appreciated. Thank you for that. And it's just a great project. And when we have the $2.8 million contract like that and the $900,000 in revenues, just like the interim city manager said, that goes right in the general fund. So that's something we can use for anything in our general fund. It's very important to have that. So thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Man, you took a lot of my thunder, buddy. But that's good. That's good. No. You know, in city government, you know, everybody on the council here go to meet. We have meetings we have to go to, and we participate. And it's very important that the meetings we belong to is to help our city, and it shows it. And you know, Scott, you know, he's on COG, and Mike's in another committee, and so is Franco, and also am I. And we all in the city government of the city of Selma, we're like a puzzle. Everything got to put together and move forward. And I'm killing the mic here, but and it's good to see that our economic of all cities moving forward. And I like what I see. And all I gotta tell you guys, without the help of the citizens and the community around it, things are looking good. And I like what I see for the future. And that's all I gotta say. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I forgot to mention something.
Oh, go ahead.
My apologies.
No.
To the members of the audience, if you know any individuals that reside here in Selma, young men or women, or that are gonna be oversight and building our police station are looking for apprentices, so they can be, get paid to learn a trade. So if you know anybody here in Selma, have them go to valleybuild.net and apply and see if they qualify for the apprentice program and learn a certified trade and help build our police station in the process.
Say that again?
Give us that again.
Valleybuild.net.
Yeah.
Valleybuild.net.
Yeah.
Right, valleybuild.net.
We got a flyer.
If you do get inquiries, yeah, you can forward them to me and I can give them the information for the workshops that they have upcoming.
I think, okay, thank you. Okay, all right,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for letting me.
oh,
talk
no,
like
no
that.
problem, man, no problem. Okay, now, oral communication. Now this time, a member of the public can come and address city council regarding any item on the council, city council jurisdiction. No action will be discussed or taken on the item or on the agenda. The issue will be referred back to the city manager, and the member of the public will have 3 minutes on the remarks. And Leslie,
I'm
state
here.
your name and
Leslie Nelson, 2413 Country Club Lane. I just wanted to know where we stand with the closing off of the corridor between the gym and the laundromat, if that's just been dropped, or are we still trying to get something going on that?
oh, you know what? When I guess Henry was looking into that when he left, Isaac.
One comment I can make to that is the current owner of the property itself, with the adjacent to between that portion, is looking at restructuring that property and getting it cleaned up. So that it is part of that conversation that we're having with them at the time right now. So yeah, they're trying to look for tenants, they're trying to get it restructured, cleaned up, and things of that nature. So that is part of the conversation we're continuously having with them.
Okay, because it's a filthy, filthy area. It smells really bad. The walls are stained with, we know what it is, and it's really pretty bad. So I just didn't know if there was something being done on that or what the situation was at this point.
With the new code enforcement temporary officer, I'll get him back up to speed with that task and get him looking at that again.
Okay, thank you very
You're
much.
welcome, Leslie.
Thank you. Okay, anybody come forward and state your name and
35, 26 Hill Street, Teresa Herrera. I just have a really quick question. The street sweeper, I don't recall seeing our streets being cleaned with that big machine. Is that still operable here in town?
Yeah. Yes,
When does it clean? Really? Oh, I've never seen it. Is it at night, during the day? Oh, okay, thanks.
So if we had that
No, no.
spreadsheet, we could see
Yeah.
where the street sweeper goes. Yeah.
yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, yeah,
Really?
yeah, I see it. I see it. Okay, anybody else? State your name and
Rosemary Alanis, 2565 Almond Street. Great job, Chief. I really enjoyed that presentation. That's awesome to know what's going on in our community. But one of the things that wasn't on the agenda that I would like to know how to stop is trucks, diesel trucks with their trailers parking in our neighborhood. They're blocking signs, stop signs, and it's hard to pass in the streets and everything like that. And we, in our neighborhood, we used to have a sign where they couldn't bring their trailers or trucks in the neighborhoods, and they're gone now.
you're talking about big semis?
And so Lewis was really helping me with that, but there's a limited things that he can do. I mean, he could ticket them, but he really can't tow them away unless it's a moving violation and the CHP cites them. But it's becoming a big issue in our neighborhood.
If you like, what you can do is report to the code enforcement.
I have.
And they could actually start the report in that process and go out there and
They have.
communicate with them.
They've ticketed him 20 million times, but it doesn't matter because he just pays the tickets and he continues to park there and park there.
What's the address?
On Thompson and Almond, and then on
Is that on the corner? Is that on the corner?
Uh-huh.
That's on the corner, right? Am I correct?
And then right across the street from Economy Market, and just on Rose, everywhere in that neighborhood, in that whole subdivision.
Would that require an ordinance change
No, we haven't.
to make it a towable offense?
It depends what the ordinance says. I have not had an opportunity to review that section. I can work with Isaac on it.
We used to have signs there that said they could not enter, and the signs are gone.
Any vehicle over 5 tons or something like that.
And the signs are now gone.
Yeah, maybe get some more signs.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll look into it. Thank you.
Plus those guys driving in our streets just tearing
Okay,
up.
thank you.
They're not.
Yeah, there's some
That's why
sections
they
they
get
can and
potholes.
can't go in, the large trucks, so we'll redress that with Public Works and see what signs are missing and re-stabilize that.
Okay. Anybody else come forward? State your name and your address, please.
My name is Robert Cortez. I'm bringing attention to the corner of McCall and Valley View. There is a mailbox there that's has graffiti on it. You took care of the one on McCall where the store is at, but right next to it on Valley View, they have written the gang signs there. Now I know nobody in that area is gonna say anything, but I will.
No.
You know, you would like to have a place
What
look a little bit better. I guess the people don't care, or they're afraid to come here and
Robert,
talk.
you know the address on that mailbox?
It's right in the corner
Is that the
of
one in the corner right
Valley
there?
View.
Oh,
Yeah,
Valley View
it
right in the
has all the mailboxes from the houses that are in
Oh, okay.
behind the
alright,
the
okay,
store
alrighty.
on 1805 South McCall.
Okay.
This is on Valley View itself, but they wrote there, and I guess nobody notices that because it's a smaller little thing there. And,
Okay.
But it has red later. It's been there for a long time. I just
okay.
thought to bring it to your attention there, that
So
maybe
is
you could
post- is
take a
that
look at it.
federal? Is that something the city needs to get a permission from the post office? And do they give it pretty readily?
We weren't doing it, but the post office said they don't want us touching their boxes, so we quit touching them completely.
And when you ask them to do it,
They don't do it, no.
Alright.
Okay.
Quite a few that are tagged.
Wow.
I know exactly what he's talking about.
Yeah.
I've seen it numerous times.
Oh, okay.
We're talking to the post office.
Is there someone we could talk to
Yeah,
at the post office?
the attorney, can we
local
do it?
postmaster?
Can we do something like that?
Mr. Mayor, if I may, my suggestion is if we're not getting that help from the post office, perhaps we reach out to our local congressional office or our senator's office and see if we can work with one of the field reps and have them help us through that process.
Okay.
So they're more responsive.
Okay. Thank
Can we
you.
work with Representative Valadeo's office?
Thank
Yeah, thank you.
And just to give you an update on that property as well, 1805 has become a growing concern as far as that old market. I have reached out to the property owner, and he's supposed to be coming in this week to talk about it. Because the property is
owner
too
of the market?
the property is too small to actually reopen the store. Doesn't allow for parking because of the design of the structure. So we're having conversations on what we can and can't do with that. So he's supposed to be coming in this week.
Okay. Thank you, Isaac. For address. Okay, anybody else come forward? Okay. All right. We're back to we're going to adjourn for a closed session here, and oh yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Good evening, Council. My name is Frank Hernandez. I moved here about 3 years ago, transplant from down south.
Okay.
You know, social media is, while it was the wave of the future, it's now. Everything's on social media. Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, everybody and their mother and grandmother's on their phones. And I use it. You know, it's an excellent tool for the business that I'm in. But, you know, I recently brought my kids here. They're living here now. And everyone's on Facebook. Everybody and their mother's on Facebook talking about Roscoe's and McCall Street and local law enforcement and this and that. And everybody badmouths our local law enforcement. And I'll be the first one to scream that everybody hates the law until they need the law. And I look at your website. The last update was a week ago. Fresno's PD has an update on what they're doing. Every few hours, every 3 hours, they caught a guy, you know, shoplifting here. They got a guy stabbing someone over there. They got a guy breaking into cars over there. If the community were to see, I was going to say whether it's true or not, but that's not the right thing to say. But if the community were to see that, you know, what you do on a daily basis, because what the community sees is they're sitting at the donut shop, they're sitting at the parking garage, they're sitting over here. I mean, I know you're shorthanded, you know, and I support you guys. You know, hardest job in the world, you guys. But if you guys can get a social media director, one of your, you know, what are they called, your Explorer programs, one of your dispatchers. I mean, the phones are not ringing 24 hours, 7 days a week. A little type of, hey, guy across the street got a ticket. Old lady got her purse taken away. Something so the community sees that Chief Gardner's, being proactive. Because this man's, there's a lot of negative talk about this man on the internet, on social medias. And, I scream up, oh, it's the hardest job to do. And then, shut up, Frank, you don't know what you're doing. So, just a little advice, if you guys can, work on that a little bit. And if you need somebody,
You volunteered.
yeah.
Thank you for
Oh.
volunteering.
Give me the guy right there.
No.
We have a new volunteer, Chief.
But that was it. Thank you, Council, for my 2 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else? Go ahead, Chief. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
City doesn't have a Facebook page.
Thank you, Chief, for you. Okay. Anybody else before I? Okay. I'm gonna refer back to council. We're gonna go into closed session. Items on the public employment and disciplinary or dismissal release pursuant code 54957, and also certain employment pursuant code 54957, title city manager, and also the items a conference with legal counsel, existing litigations pursuant code 54956.9, the case of City of Selma versus John and Rose Zapata, and also Superior Court, California, Fresno County, case number 15 CE CG 01231, and we'll be attending back there right now as we speak. We'll take a few minutes.
Motion to adjourn.
Adjourn. Recess.